So
Yes, as you can see, still not Dawn. And for those of you that were not with us yesterday, Dawn is dealing with a family emergency. He is okay, but he currently is unable to be here. So Peter and I will be joining you this morning. I know that we are not Dawn, and this is the Dawn Lemon Show, but we will do the best we can to bring you the news and chat with you guys.
yeah, we have no updates that we can give you right now. As soon as we get more information, we'll tell you. But we are relaying all of your thoughts, all of your prayers, and it means the world to Don. So thank you guys. What's going on? Where are you all streaming from? Tell us where you are. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us if you're enjoying a cup of tea, cup of coffee as you stream with us. Nikki, what's going on in the news? What's happening?
Oh, just another day in paradise. Another constitutional crisis. Just a normal Tuesday in Trump's America.
Yeah, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. So every morning, usually around 8:30 or so, we'll have an editorial call where Nikki, Andy, and I will tell Don about what's going on in the news, what we're seeing on Twitter, what we're seeing on our socials. And sometimes it's just hard to make a show work. But then we say that and we reflect on the fact that there is a TV game show host who is currently sitting in the Oval Office. Also, he happens to be a convicted felon. We're in the midst of a constitutional crisis. The economy is cratering. A trade war is ruining the job prospects for an entire generation right now. And yet, yeah, how can we possibly say there's not much to talk about? How can you possibly say there isn't? But I digress. Nikki, Alcatraz. Alcatraz is in the news because I think Trump oddly was affected by some of the pushback he's getting to sending innocent men and formerly women to a gulag, a supermax prison in El Salvador. And so now it seems he wants to open one here. What are your thoughts on gulags in America?
Oh, well, basically the same as my thoughts on gulags in other countries. They're horrific, obviously. I think the whole point of this, it seems like another one of those silly distractions that he's bringing up, saying something absurd. But I do think that it speaks to a larger trend here with Trump and MAGA, that the cruelty is the point. That Alcatraz has a reputation for inhumane, cruel punishment. And I think he likes that. They want that. They want that image of it's about the image of having this facility where we can send people where they're isolated and still being treated horrifically. People that are, let's be honest, have not committed crimes that he just decides he doesn't want here, based on his racist, xenophobic views. Also, isn't this going to cost a lot of money?
It is. That's the thing. His lawlessness is expensive.
Where is Doge?
That doesn't get discussed enough. His lawlessness is literally expensive.
Yeah.
On the topic of lawlessness, on the topic of his expansion of this crazy, scary ICE police state, Andy, we have a new ad from the Lincoln Project that they just released. It's pretty good. It'll help us wake up. Let's watch it.
Stephen Miller designed it. Donald Trump demanded it. Kristi Noem and Holman ordered you to do it. Illegal deportations, mass raids, rounding up people who are here legally, arresting citizens, family separations, snatching students off the street for tweeting, detention without hearings, shipping them to foreign prisons, deportations defying court orders. When government agents like you abuse your power, when you trample civil and constitutional rights, you can be held personally liable in civil court. You can lose everything, and Trump can't pardon you. That includes ICE, that includes CBP, contractors, DOJ, even the White House. Yep, every last Trump official pulling the strings. Even, well, especially the lawyers. If you think you're safe behind badges and titles, you're wrong. You do a hard, dangerous job. You're vital to our security. But what they have you doing now isn't law enforcement. It's just lawless, and you'll pay the price for following illegal orders.
God, they put together some good ads. Those folks at the Lincoln Project know what they're doing. For those of you just joining us, I'm seeing some folks in the comments ask if there are any updates on Don. I'll just reiterate what I said at the top, or what Nikki said at the top. Don is currently dealing with a family matter, a family emergency. We unfortunately don't have any updates for you right now, but we will let you know as soon as we get word of any developments. Don's okay. He is really appreciating all of your thoughts and prayers, and he will be back soon. Don't you worry. On that note, Nikki, let's talk about how Trump got the idea for opening Alcatraz, opening an American gulag in the U.S. He was in the Oval yesterday, where he explained his thought process in the matter. Let's listen, Andy.
Decide to reopen Alcatraz. Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz. How will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country. And so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that. And we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. You look at it, it's sort of, you saw that picture that was put out. It's sort of amazing. But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point. Okay, are you again?
Nikki, pardon my French, but what the fuck?
What the actual
What did we just watch?
I swear, everyone, MAGA went on so much about Biden's cognitive ability. Have they listened to this man speak?
So I want to try and get the stream of consciousness straight. So his opening line, if I'm not mistaken, is movie making. He's asked, what inspired you to reopen Alcatraz? And he says, movie making, or I'm a movie maker? So Charlie Sykes, good friend of the show, has a theory on how this came to be. We don't know for a fact this is true, but given the fact that he did say, I believe, at least 2 times, if not 3 times, movie making the movies in that answer, I think Charlie might be onto something. Let's play him.
Interesting that people were wondering, what the hell? Why are you talking about Alcatraz? Where did that come from? And there were some snarky commentators who said, well, it must have been something that he saw on television, because we know how Donald Trump works, right? If you're on Fox News, you get to be in his cabinet. Well, it does turn out that Netflix has been showing the 1979 Clint Eastwood movie Escape from Alcatraz, but hey, that really can't be it, right? It couldn't be that the President of the United States is sitting around in his pajamas watching a Clint Eastwood movie and thinking, that's what I have to do. We have to reopen Alcatraz. Well, wait, he was actually asked about that today. And this is what he said.
Reopen Alcatraz. Can you walk us through that decision?
Yeah.
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz. How will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms.
Wait. He actually basically confirms the wacko theory that he watched a movie. So his answer is, I used to be a movie maker. But I don't remember any of his movies, but here we go. The ultimate.
Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies.
The movies. The movies.
It's right now a museum, believe it or not.
Yep.
A lot of people go there.
They do.
It housed the most violent criminals in the world.
Not anymore.
And nobody ever escaped. One person
Oh.
almost got there, but They, as you know, the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites,
Eaten by sharks.
A lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz.
So that's good.
It just represented something strong having to do with law and order.
Strong.
We need law and order.
Is that something in a movie?
And so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard
because
on that.
that's apparently what we need, is a place where if you try to get out, you are eaten by sharks. So
East Coast transplant in the comments said a second ago, get out of the White House, go make movies. And that reminds me of something that I said in my conversation, I think with Cam Caskey a couple of weeks ago, where I have a theory that on Earth 2, after Joan Rivers passed away in 2012, I think, Trump just got her red carpet gig. Or maybe it's not Joan Rivers, maybe it's Andy Cohen, steps aside at Bravo, and Trump just chats with celebrities in the Real Housewives Monday through Friday.
And leaves us alone.
But the thing is, on Earth 2, he's so much happier that way. He's so much happier there. Because that's what he wants to do. He wants to be on the silver screen. He wants to be hobnobbing with celebrities. He wants to be a catty little bitch and gossip. This is what he wants. I'm so frustrated because you can tell he doesn't really want this. He would be so much happier and we'd be all so much better off if he was just Joan Rivers.
I think
and
he
instead
doesn't want
now we're going to have
work,
yeah.
but I think he wants, I don't know. I think the cruelty is something that he strives for. We can see in his business practices, the man was never a good person.
No, how many times did he go bankrupt?
6.
At least, I want to say 6, yeah.
I want to say 6. But I mean, you see even like a lot of the stuff he's implementing, I think you're right. He doesn't want the work. I mean, didn't he say that after he got elected the first time? You know, you wouldn't realize being president is actually a lot of work.
Well, he also says, you know, I didn't have to do this. I had such a good life. I was rich. I was golfing. I was eating good dinners. I was hanging out with cool people. But I did this for you. That's a tell. That's him, you know, openly whining about the fact that, yes, as Casual Observer says in the comments, he ultimately ran, and he ran again because, well, no, he ran the first time because he wanted attention 24/7. He ran the second time because he wanted to get out of prison. But ultimately, yeah, he doesn't really want any of this. He wants aspects of it, like the attention, like the feeling of power.
He wants
yes.
attention.
But
and I think he likes all of the power and attention that MAGA gives him. I think that it allows them to push their agenda because he has very few actual convictions himself and just listens to look at how he made this decision. He saw a movie or listens to the last person that talked to him. I mean, beyond the fact that I do think he has deeply held racist and sexist beliefs. And I think that so just a lot of MAGA, and that's why a lot of these things are being implemented. But I think a lot of what the decisions he makes is because it's about optics. Everything's about optics. It's not that's the whole point of that Alcatraz is because it's cruel, and it's this strongman approach to do something that makes him look stronger, that makes him look tougher. I think it's the same thing with this. I think some people in the chat were mentioning this absurd parade that he's planning that just happens to fall on his birthday. I mean, military parades cost a fortune. So he ran on this concept of cutting costs, helping the economy, yet the stuff he's doing is certainly not doing that. When we looked at the market this morning, it's not doing well. So I think it's more about optics. It's more about he wants the power. He wants to be feared, worshipped. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Well put, Winky Campbell.
He wants to
Nikki,
be worshipped as most malignant narcissists do.
I have so much more to say, but do we want to pay some bills?
Yes, we do have to pay some bills. So today, the Don Lemon Show is brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. I know you've heard me talk about it so much. So have you ever been on a road trip and there's like one person who insists on controlling the music and controlling everything and dictating what you do, and you just want to enjoy the ride, but you're basically stuck listening to and doing everything they want? There's no discussion, there's no compromise, and it's just their way or the highway. That's kind of what we're seeing right now in the United States with this push for Christian nationalism. There are some folks who want to take over the wheel and force everyone to follow their beliefs, shoving religion into our laws and our schools and even our personal choices. But this country was built for everyone and not just one group. And that is where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in. You can think of them as a GPS that keeps church and state separate, just like the founders of this country intended for it to be. And we acknowledge religion is a very important part of so many people's lives. I mean, Don wrote a book on it. It is important, and people should be able to practice their religion, whatever that may be, but it should be personal. So whether you've always been secular or you've left religion behind, or you are religious yourself, but you don't want someone else dictating what you believe, Freedom from Religion has your back. You can join us. You can go to ffrf.us/freedom, or you can text Dawn to 511-511 and become a member today. Text Dawn to 511-511, or go to ffrf.us/freedom, because when it comes to freedom, we all deserve to choose our own route. For membership information, text Dawn to 511-511. Text fees may apply. And the Don Lemon Show is also brought to us by Shopify. So you've heard us talk about Shopify. I feel like everyone had a dream when they were young to kind of rule the world, do something crazy, do something insane. And as you get a little older, you may focus less on those grand ambitions, but develop new ambitions, something like maybe starting your own business. And how do you do that? You would need a website, a payment system, a logo, and a way to advertise to new customers. And that can be very overwhelming and confusing, but thankfully, that's where Shopify comes in. The origins of this podcast were once a dream as well. Starting your own business is something a lot of us think about doing at some point. But too many of us just let it remain in that dream state. So Shopify can help you turn those what ifs into why nots. They're the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names to brands just getting started. As we here are working on getting our brand and our merch out to you guys, we're going to be using Shopify. And when Dawn is back, we will continue that conversation, I promise you. So you may be thinking, what if I can't design a website? Shopify has got you covered there with beautiful designs. They're ready to go templates that can match your brand style. You can get help with everyday tasks like enhancing your product images, writing product descriptions, generating discount codes, and you can just use their AI tools that are created specifically for commerce. If you're worried that people haven't heard about your brand, Shopify will help you find customers with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. And if you get stuck, they're always around to help you, give you advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. So turn those dreams into
Love the bell.
give them the best shot at success with Shopify. You can sign up for a $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/lemon. Go to shopify.com/lemon. That's shopify.com/LEMON. And turn your dreams into.
So a couple of things. I am noticing some new folks in the comments who are joining and asking where Don is. I'll just provide you guys with one more update. Don, unfortunately, is dealing with a family matter, a family emergency this week. We don't have any developments that we can share with you right now, but the moment we get them, we will. Don is okay, and Don is really appreciating all of your well wishes, all of your prayers. We're sending all of them to him, and he really, really appreciates it. Second, I did notice while Nikki was doing a phenomenal job with the ad read that Karen White and Casual Observer were talking about Black dandyism and the Met Gala. And we have something special for you all, something fun in store for either 2 p.m. or 8 p.m., I'm not sure. But we'll be chatting with the editor-in-chief of Glamour magazine about Black dandyism and all the best looks from the Met Gala. So if you watched it last night, you'll get to hear her thoughts on who had all the best looks, who ate, who served, as the kids say, and the history of Black dandyism and Black fashion. I think it'll be a great conversation. Neither Nikki or I are particularly fashionable people, as you can tell, so we needed to bring someone else in to help us.
That's not an area that I can really comment on things. So.
But I digress. We'll talk about black dandyism later. Let's get back to American gulags. The administration, after Trump just mused about this idea and has now, I don't know, like a dog with a bone, hi Max, has now refused to let go of it. He's sending out his goons to defend it and to talk about how, of course, this is such a wonderful idea. Of course, we should open up an American gulag. Andy, I think we have Caroline Levitt on Fox News last night. She's sort of the point person for coming up with the talking points for why this is actually a genius idea.
Great to see you, Sean. Thank you so much. And this is a phenomenal idea by President Trump that will be executed upon. In fact, I can confirm for you that the White House has already administered calls with the Bureau of Prisons, our counterparts at the Department of Justice, and our counterparts at the Department of Interior, because Alcatraz is now run by the National Park Service, and we know our great Secretary of Interior, Doug Burgum, is in charge of that. So the Bureau of Prisons has already confirmed that they are assessing next steps to reopen this notorious prison. And the reason for it is because President Trump is leaving no stone unturned to restore law and order to our country and to make it very clear to criminals, repeat offenders, not just illegal immigrant criminals, but also American citizens who have refused to comply with our nation's laws. If you have been repeatedly breaking the law, if you are in and out of prison, that is ending under this administration. President Trump's team is going to enforce our laws and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. So we are absolutely looking into this, assessing next steps, and it's a part of the president's big picture law and order agenda, which is obviously working, especially when you look at the illegal border crossings at our southern border. The border is secure, mass deportations are underway, and law and order is back in America thanks to President Trump.
Great. Wonderful.
God, I hate her.
Someone in the comments called her bullshit Barbie.
I saw Timu Barbie. Love that
I like
too.
that too. Also, going back to our forgive me, I'm gonna blank on her name. The influencer who started the MAGA makeup trend.
Yes. I should know this.
It'll come to us.
Yeah.
Andy, do you know?
Suzanne Lambert.
Suzanne Lambert. Yeah. We have an episode with her. I can put it up. I can link it at the top of the chat.
She's fantastic.
It's so uncanny. Like, all of the MAGA women messengers look almost identical. They have the exact same presentation. It's the platinum blonde, tied back tight, like when really
it's down,
strong
like,
bronzer.
Burned, destroyed to shit. But
it's so odd.
Yeah, it's horrible.
You know,
it's everything that look. I don't like insulting people's appearances. But when you're just that horrendous inside, I'm going to come at you for everything I can.
It's strange because, you know, conservatives and MAGA for years has loved to make fun of the so-called blue-haired liberal, right? The idea that there's a stereotype of what Democrats look like, that we all have blue hair, pink hair, tattoos, and piercings. And don't get me wrong, that type of person exists for sure. And they, many of them, if not most of them, are in the Democratic coalition. But it represents such a small portion of the left in America that I never quite understood why it took off as a stereotype. Whereas the MAGA look is so identifiable and so universal. It's really quite something.
Yeah. It's brought out more by the horrible things they say.
Let's move on from one horrible person to another horrible person in the Trump administration. Not to be outdone, Stephen Miller made sure he also had a couple of rounds on Fox last night to defend Trump's Alcatraz idea. Let's take a listen.
People in this country, as President Trump has said, who will do nothing with their lives but rape, maim, and murder. They cannot be rehabilitated. They cannot be saved. They cannot be coached in some better way of living. They are always going to hurt. They are always going to steal. They are always going to attack. And we need a place in this country where we can send people to visually demonstrate their total separation from society. The fact that they're not going to live among us and will never live among us. Additionally, this helps to disrupt transnational criminal organizations because it is harder to communicate with. It is harder to apply pressure to individuals who are inside of that prison because of its separation, again, from society. So it's right for our security. It's right for our safety. Let me just make one more point. You talked about...
I'm sorry, he sounds like a supervillain. He sounds like a comic book villain that Batman would punch in the face. I don't. Take it away.
I'm just saying, like they keep talking about people who have committed so many crimes, you know, sexual assault, and they're just not going to change. I know who that describes. Let's just send the entire cabinet there. I'm all for reopening it if we just do that.
Oh, goodness. Stephen Miller. The thing...
Love that, Heidi. Nosferatu Miller.
What I don't get about Stephen Miller is if there's one Trumpism that's seared into my brain, it's the quote-unquote straight out of central casting line. He loves to talk about when somebody is straight out of central casting. And what does that mean exactly? It means that if it's a man, it's a tall, muscular, strong-jawed, strapping dude. And if it's a woman, it is a petite, thin, usually blonde, with the MAGA makeup. And he's very open about the fact that he likes to surround himself with conventionally attractive people in that regard. Why Stephen Miller, or how Stephen Miller has managed to rise through the ranks and is now potentially going to be his next national security advisor after Waltz was ousted, confounds me. Because he's just, in every regard, I know, Nikki, you said a second ago that you don't like going after their physical appearances. We don't have to. We don't have to call him Voldemort. Maybe we can. But it's just, it's not even his physicality, or not just his physical appearance, but everything about him, from his voice to his demeanor, is so off-putting and bone-chilling.
He's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He makes my skin crawl. Something about him. It's just icky.
Well, let's make your skin crawl one more time. We have one more clip of him. Sorry.
Right, what I'm saying, when it was closed in 1963, that was the complaint. As for the facility itself, that's easily refurbished. So that's all nonsense. Look, Alcatraz was built at a time when this country was strong and it knew how to take care of villains and monsters. There are...
I mean, I don't get it. We were talking before the show, Lemon Nation, about Alcatraz. Andy and I have both been on tours there before, and it actually is a cool, interesting museum. Andy, if you have any thoughts, please jump in. But it is so no longer in the state to be equipped to take care of people.
No.
The amount, again, actually going back to our conversation, Nikki, about sort of how his lawlessness is expensive.
Yeah.
To refurbish, to re-prepare this facility to actually house the quote-unquote most dangerous of the dangerous would be astronomical.
It would cost a fortune. And all your firings of the workers that make anywhere between $30,000 and $75,000 a year, that's where you're making cuts.
Very strange.
Contributing to massive unemployment, but let's open up a completely outdated prison just so we can show how cruel we are.
And to circle back to one of the things he said in the first SOT that I wanted to make a point about, when he was going on about how there are so many of these criminals who will only ever commit crimes and are utterly, their souls are not salvageable, they're doomed to live a life of villainy, and that's just it. What a dark view of humanity. What a dark view of human nature and life. To view people as fundamentally not worthy, not capable of being saved, not capable of rehabilitation. I think that really speaks to the heart of MAGA. If there's one fundamental difference between MAGA and maybe the rest of the Republican Party, and MAGA and definitely the Democratic Party, I think there's a view that I have, and I think you have, Nikki, and most of the folks who would agree with us ideologically, that people can be saved, that people can make mistakes, but they can also atone for them and become better people and constantly work towards being, productive, morally righteous American citizens and global citizens. And that, I think, for whatever reason, and I'm curious for your thoughts on this, that doesn't exist in MAGA. Or maybe it can, maybe it does, but only for certain people.
I was going to say there's an important distinction there, though.
Mm.
It does for them. Look at all the January 6 folks.
Yeah.
They can make mistakes. They can fuck up. And they'll justify it somehow.
Because it's not their fault. Because they were tripped. It was either Antifa or...
Do this. Exactly. If you are someone that they deem as less than, so, I mean, let's be honest here. It's if you are someone who is not white, who is not American, who is not straight, who's transgender, then yes. I mean, you don't even have to commit a crime or make a mistake. They view you as inhuman. If you're not one of them, yes, then you cannot be redeemed. You cannot change. But for them, there are no laws. There are no rules. I mean, everyone in Trump's cabinet has committed so many atrocious things, and it doesn't matter. It's all about the in crowd, the loyalty. If you're one of us, you can do no wrong. If you're one of them, you can do no right.
It reminds me of the plight of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We've been talking about this on this channel for weeks now. There has been some reporting that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was not necessarily an angel. His wife, I believe, filed for at least 2 restraining orders, temporary restraining orders against him, which were ultimately not put into place. That's my understanding. She rescinded them because on a couple of occasions he was violent with her, which is obviously a horrific thing. But it also does not mean that he should be condemned without due process to a forced labor camp in El Salvador. And it's especially rich, and it goes right to what Nikki was talking about when you consider all of the different allegations that have been made against members of this administration, whether it be Pete Hegseth, whether it be RFK Jr., whether it be Dana White, who granted isn't in the administration but is a close Trump ally and is now, I believe, sitting on the board of Meta, if I'm not mistaken. All of these individuals who have some really, really damning allegations with regard to physical abuse and intimate partner violence, and yet they can do no wrong in the eyes of MAGA. But if you're Kilmar Abrego Garcia, if you're a brown or you're a black man, and you happen to engage in that type of misconduct, we lock you up and we throw away the key. And you can never be redeemed, going back to what Stephen Miller said. You can never be redeemed, you can never be reformed, you can never make right those mistakes. You just go to a concentration camp.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's so much of it is about white supremacy, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You're white, it's fine. If you're one of them, it's fine. If you're someone that they deem as other, it's not. And I mean, I guess I would just highlight that, yes, they keep going on about the horrific things that Abrego Garcia did, but it doesn't matter. First of all, there's not a ton of proof, but also it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he did. It doesn't matter. It's about due process. If he did those things, okay, he can have a trial.
100%.
Just like a lot of the Trump folk had. And, it didn't really work, but still. It's about due process.
Tangent, but did you see that the Trump administration just settled with the family of Ashley Babbitt, and now they're going to be awarded tax?
About that. Yeah.
We're giving them taxpayer dollars for Ashley Babbitt's passing. I just lots of thoughts on that. Maybe that's a conversation for another show, but
I got a lot of thoughts on that too, considering the fact that she was killed by the Secret Service, law enforcement there.
I think a Capitol police officer, if I'm not mistaken.
Police officer, and how many other individuals have been killed by police officers that struggle to get any kind of compensation or even just general accountability for the things that they did.
Yeah.
And that goes back to my point. If you're one of them, it's okay.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you're just basically branded a criminal.
Nikki, do you want to pay some more bills, or should we start going through MAGA Maoism?
I do have to talk about one more sponsor, everyone.
Okay.
And I think that this one is one that I know Don was very excited for us to have. And I think it is important because this stuff is dark. This stuff is really depressing. And it's something that you really need to take care of yourself, especially your mental health. So the Don Lemon Show today is also sponsored by BetterHelp. It's important to protect your mental health in these very dark times. And even while awareness around the issue is growing, there is still a long way to go. A recent survey found that 26% of Americans have avoided mental health care due to fear of judgment. Beyond that, people avoid seeking out help for a multitude of reasons: lack of access, lack of money, it's lack of time. It is difficult. But May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so let's encourage everyone to take care of themselves and break these stigmas. Seeking out help can feel like a monumental task. BetterHelp is there to work with you, though, and I can attest to that. Like, I've struggled with finding time and money for therapy, and I actually did end up turning to BetterHelp because it was a convenient option. Their therapy is fully online, which makes it more accessible. It's much more affordable and convenient than a lot of in-person therapy services. They serve over 5 million people worldwide, and they have over 10 years of experience matching people with the right therapists. They have a diverse range of therapists. Their network is massive with more than 30,000 licensed therapists. Their therapy is within reach with BetterHelp, and your mental health is worth it. And with today's divisive, overwhelming, hurtful, just harmful environment, taking care of yourself has never been more important. We are all better with help. So visit betterhelp.com/DawnLemon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DawnLemon. You're worth it.
I'm sorry for those of you who have been watching the whole show, but I'm still seeing folks in the chat asking where Don is, so I'm going to just repeat what I've been saying. Don, unfortunately, is dealing with a family emergency this week. He's okay. But he's going to be stepping away from the show for just a little while. We don't have any updates right now that we can share with you, but the moment we do, we'll bring them to your attention. I can say that we're relaying all of your thoughts, all of your prayers, all of your well wishes. It means the world to him, and he will be back very soon, don't you worry. And we also appreciate all of the kind words, Nikki, Andy, and I, for carrying on without him. It means a lot.
I am sorry that I keep having a look over here. My dog is just being really pinchy right now. He just wants attention.
The Lemon Nation loves Max. You don't need to apologize.
I think the members know Max from the members only shows.
That's true.
I'm not sure if everyone has met him. It's a little obnoxious sometimes.
All right, I'm being told to please announce to hit the thumbs up and to please sign up for new members. How can we forget?
Yes, everyone.
We are
please
remiss in our duties.
Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. I promise you, I know it's the Don Lemon Show. Don will be back. You will be seeing more of Don. But right now, you have us today. Yeah. But yes, hit subscribe. And if you'd like to become a member, we have some membership options. They're reasonable. Click join and explore. We'd love to have you.
So, Nikki, one thing I wanted to talk about before we head out of here is an article that caught my eye in Axios. Hi, Max.
There he is.
What a goober. Andy, can we pull up the Axios article? So it's titled, I believe, MAGA Maoism. Let's see. Yeah, Trump's new nationalism. Let's read through a bit because this I found really, really interesting. President Trump's grand economic vision relies on a simple trade-off, that Americans will accept short-term personal sacrifice, higher prices, fewer options, slimmer profits, in service of long-term national strength. Trump is breaking sharply from free market orthodoxy in his second term, blending bursts of anti-capitalism with a top-down nationalist agenda for American dominance. Critics on the left and right warn of an emerging MAGA Maoism, a movement that demands ideological purity, glorifies economic sacrifice, and embraces state power as a means to reshape society. Trump's strongman instincts and his deep skepticism of cultural elites and bureaucrats have only intensified the provocative comparisons to China's revolutionary leader. MAGA Maoism is spreading through the populist right. Former congressional speechwriter Rotimi Adeyi wrote for the Washington Post last month. James, oh, these names are not easy. James Surowiecki, the first journalist to deduce that the White House used trade deficits to calculate its reciprocal tariffs, argued Monday that Trumpism is, quote, becoming perversely, farcically Maoist. Drew Pavlou, an Australian anti-communist activist, wrote on Substack that, quote, the entire world is now held hostage to Trump and his primitive, strangely Maoist worldview. I'll end here. Trump's worldview is driven not by Marxist theory, but a deeply held belief that America has been getting ripped off for decades. He's constrained by the rule of law, unlike China's totalitarian state, and there's no comparison to mass death or violence committed by Mao Zedong's communist regime. Maybe I'll just go a little bit further. Plus, much of Trump's agenda remains pro-capitalist. He champions private industry, not state ownership, and his appeals to sacrifice are rooted in geopolitical competition, not class struggle. Yeah, that's a great point. White House spokesperson Kush Desai told Axios in a statement, quote, the Trump administration's policies are delivering much-needed economic relief, lull, for everyday Americans, lull, while laying the groundwork for a long-term restoration of American greatness. Nikki, what the hell do you make of that? Because I found it both really unnerving, fascinating, and quite accurate, honestly.
I do think it's pretty accurate. I do think that the whole idea that MAGA is based more around an ideological unification rather than any form of policy, I find that to be pretty accurate. I will say, though, in that one line that you pointed out that Trump is more capitalist and does support private industry, now maybe, but look at how he's trying to integrate the private industry into the state run.
Yeah.
Like much of what used to be private, the lines are getting very blurred about that distinction between the government and private industry. So I can see a world where that becomes merged. But no, I do think this is pretty accurate. I think a lot of people have been making these comparisons to MAGA and the Trump agenda and other authoritarian concepts that we've seen throughout history.
Yeah. It's because I think a lot of times people toss around comparisons to the Third Reich, of course, and Mussolini, and this article, of course, just talked about Mao. None of them are quite right. None of them are quite perfect, and I think folks are just they're so struggling to find a comparison, because if there was a historical allegory, if there was some precedent for this, it would be less unnerving. It would be less scary. But Trump is just his own thing. It's a political cult unlike anything we've ever seen before. And sure, there are elements from this period of history and elements from that period of history, but it's truly just unique and unprecedented. And I think that's deeply unsettling for a lot of people.
I think it is unprecedented, but I do think there are a lot of comparisons that are accurate, and I think that it's just generally. And if you look at each of these specific, like these individual moments in history, these specific instances of fascism or authoritarian rule, they're all a little different, but they often follow a very similar playbook. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like we are seeing that kind of the same playbook happening over and over again. Attacks on the media, an obsession with law and order, choosing a group of people to basically hit all of the worst things on. The reason you don't have what you want is because of them, while themselves making a ton of money. There are a lot of things that they are doing. I mean, attacks on intellectualism, attacks on science. These are things that do happen under fascist rule. And while this particular instance may have a lot of unique things that we haven't seen, I feel like the way they're governing is quite similar. I mean, maybe they weren't all as belligerent as our current leader, but
yeah. Well, folks, we're going to hop off in a moment because, as I teased at the top of the show, we have something special for you at either 2 p.m. or 8 p.m. tonight. We're going to be chatting with the editor-in-chief of Glamour magazine about the Met Gala and it's themed this year Black Dandyism, which a lot of folks loved on social media last night. So stay tuned for that. I'll provide one last update. Don is dealing with a family matter this week. He'll be back soon. He is okay, but we don't have any other updates on that right now. But we are sharing all of your thoughts and prayers with him, and it means the world. And that's all I have. Nikki, do you have anything else?
No, I do see someone asked if this would be grounds for impeachment. Yes. I mean, he was impeached. Doesn't really matter, sadly, anymore. Nothing matters.
Well, just stay tuned. Someone says stay tuned. They're staying tuned for the Black Dandyism conversation. Yes, do that. Also, stay tuned to the midterms, because if we mobilize now, if we organize now, if we win back Congress, perhaps even the Senate, unlikely but possible, there could be a very different story, and this administration will look far different.
That, and I do think a lot of the protests and the going to town halls and fighting back, that does seem to be working. I mean, we see how upset Trump gets when people call him out. So,
yeah. Well, we'll see you soon. But until then, turn this TV off.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.